Romance on pause or a fresh chapter about to open? Barış Baktaş just turned the New Year rumor mill on its head, and the way it happened is as simple as it is electrifying. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Turkish Series Stars. Before we dive into every twist of this story, hit subscribe and join me, because tonight's detail looks small on the surface and enormous underneath. Just hours before midnight, as the calendar folded into a new year, a single photo appeared on Barış's Instagram story and pulled every gaze in the fandom straight into one word: Dubai. The image was sleek and polished, like he always is, airport lights reflecting on glossy floors, a high-end suitcase angled just enough to suggest motion, the kind of cool composition that looks as intentional as a scene partner's cue. And above it, nothing but the destination. No caption explaining, no song hinting at mood, no shared hands in the frame. But the most notable absence wasn't a filter or an emoji. It was Yağmur Yüksel. For months, we've watched them move like a matched pair. Hand in hand at premieres. Laughing between interviews. Trading glances on carpets that said more than any press release could. When they opened the doors to their private world during consigliere promotions, it wasn't a timid reveal. It was a clear statement, the kind that made fans feel like they'd been invited in. Which is why, tonight, the silence crackled. Where is Yağmur? Why is Barış flying into the new year with only a destination to keep him company? Is this a reset, a retreat, or a ripple that will turn into a full wave? Make no mistake, this hasn't been an ordinary year for him. The first scenes of a new project were reportedly filmed just weeks ago, those long days on set that stretch past sunset and steal your sense of time. Consigliere broke borders again, trending where Turkish dramas didn't used to trend, sparking translation threads and fan art across continents. And whispers about a digital platform production kept circling like seagulls over the same stretch of shoreline, visible from a distance, never fully landing, always intriguing. It's been relentless. And that makes a solitary snapshot from an airport, on the last night of the year, a lightning rod. Suddenly everyone is asking, not just where he is, but who he'll be with when the clock strikes 12. In celebrity culture, some announcements arrive dressed as paragraphs. Others show up as a single image and leave the world to fill in the rest. That's exactly how this one hit. There were no hearts hovering over his story, no phrase that said we, no wink of a shared plan. Just Dubai. Instantly, timelines split. One camp said it's obvious, a quick escape after a grueling run, a few days to exhale. The other side sharpened their tone, this looks like a message. Not a soft one either. A statement about distance. A hint that the echo between them has grown louder than the words. Yağmur's feed added fuel to the debate. While he was walking through terminal lights, she was posting from music-heavy nights and live sets, tagging friends and venues, smiling under stage bulbs instead of twinkling fairy lights. It's not proof of anything on its own, these two have juggled ambitious schedules from day one, but the contrast pressed at the question. If they could find ways to show up for each other during the craziest of times, why not tonight? Why allow the public to meet the new year with two separate maps? For a couple who brought their bond into daylight with courage and a little mischief, this split screen feels like a plot twist. Sources close to the buzz say there's been a quiet cooling lately, not the kind made of slammed doors and dramatic long takes, but a slowed pulse. Fewer interactions in the comments, fewer mutual shares, fewer out-in-the-open moments that used to pop up like little fireworks on ordinary days. In the language of stardom, a pause can be louder than a fight. It reads like a line break. It suggests a chapter marker. And then there's the city itself. Dubai, for him, has never been just a pin on a map. In conversations he's brushed toward introspection, even when he tried to stay playful. A place to reset, to scrub the noise from his thoughts, to look at the skyline and see the angles of his own life a little clearer. The hotels he tends to choose speak the same language. Rooms with a view but not a crowd, the world available at the push of a button, and yet a sense of buffering from it. When he shared the hotel slice tonight, just a fraction of a picture, a view that could double as a screensaver, the takeaway was immediate. Stunning, yes. Romantic, not necessarily. The comments fell in line with a cool certainty: this isn't a honeymoon. This is a room where you hear your own breath. This is space. So the question takes shape, sharper than the Barış lines against the night: is Barış actually alone there? Or is he hiding surprise company behind a careful frame? The columns have stacked 3 versions of the truth, each with its own supporters. Scenario 1, he chose solitude on purpose. A year like his can pack exhaustion into muscles you didn't know you had. Little breaks don't close the gap, they just slow the sprint. If this is about protecting his head and his heart, then the word Dubai might be less about mystery and more about maintenance. A cleansing pause. A reset before the next table read. Scenario 2, the distance with Yağmur is real, and it rearranged their New Year plans into separate nights without a dramatic headline. When 2 people who built a public rhythm suddenly stop moving in sync, the silence becomes its own kind of announcement. Work would be the easiest cover story. Hers with music and events, his with scripts and flights, but we've seen them bend time zones to be in each other's frame. Choosing not to bend, on this night of all nights, can mean one thing: a quiet break, even if they haven't said the words out loud to anyone but themselves. Scenario 3 is the spiciest and the flimsiest. A surprise name, tucked away from the camera's eye, a face not ready for the spotlight, a presence no one expects. It's the kind of rumor that floats because we've learned stars can keep entire chapters private until they decide to publish. If anyone could slip in and out of a glittering city unnoticed, it's someone who knows how attention works and how to refuse it. But so far there's no evidence, not a joined reflection in a window, not a second suitcase in a mirror's edge. Just guesses wearing fancy shoes. Meanwhile, the comments thrum like a club floor. Under his tag across platforms, thousands have said versions of the same thing: something shifted. He looks inward again. He's not broadcasting the way he did when every victory felt communal. The supporters pushed back just as loudly. Give the man room. He doesn't owe us the inside of his phone. Everyone deserves quiet. And yet even those defenders glanced at Yağmur's absence and stumbled over the explanation. Not because she can't have her own night, she can and does. But because ritual matters, and New Year's Eve is coded like a love letter. Where you are when the clock turns says a lot about who you're ready to be. Maybe that's the headline here. New Year's is symbolic. It's a bridge you choose to cross with someone or on your own. You can sign your name to a plan, or you can stand a few steps back and watch the fireworks alone, letting the noise pass over you while you run your own inventory. The idea forming around this midnight Dubai is that he wants a new page. Not a ripped-out one, not a burned one, but a fresh sheet with the corners still stiff. The open question is whether Yağmur's handwriting continues on that page. Some think it will, 2 artists taking separate breaths before returning to the same scene. Others think the pause is permanent, a soft ending dressed as an intermission. Tonight, every finger is hovering over one button: his next post. Will it be a quiet morning coffee against glass, a shadowed selfie from the gym, a corner of a script on a side table? Or will he drop a twist that turns the last 12 hours of speculation into confetti? The same goes for her. A single photo holding context, a flight tag, a caption with a hint, a shot that reveals a destination, and suddenly everyone recalibrates. Until then, the silence is writing its own script, and it's surprisingly legible. Because what we know is simple and heavy at the same time. He is in Dubai. She is not beside him. It could be coincidence. It could be choreography. It could be 2 professionals protecting their peace during the noisiest week of the year. Or it could be that the conversations that matter most aren't being had online anymore. The first days of January will do what they always do in this world: they'll decide if this was a blip or a border crossing. There's a tenderness to endings that don't announce themselves. They drift. They grow quiet. They take the shape of schedules instead of speeches. If that's what we're watching, it will reveal itself in small consistencies, separate trips that become routine, separate tables at events where they used to share a seat, separate acknowledgements where there used to be a nod and a smile that traveled like electricity between them. If we're wrong, if this is just a pause while both refill their cups, the signs will be just as clear in the opposite direction. A shared view from different angles. A tagged moment. A laugh caught mid-breath. Until then, Dubai glows like a lighthouse in this story. The destination isn't random, and that's why the speculation keeps circling it. He's used the city as a pressure valve before, a place where the sky seems large enough to hold everything he can't say. The allure of spotless rooms and cityscapes that look like tomorrow is comforting. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't ask questions back. It simply lets you look and decide what to do next. That's what makes it powerful, and that's what makes it slightly unnerving for fans who want answers instead of reflections. And yet, maybe reflection is the answer. Maybe the person he's with in Dubai is the version of himself he hasn't had time to hear over applause and flight announcements. Maybe the companion at that table with a view is a choice to be alone long enough to figure out whether the love story the world adored still fits the lives they're building at a speed that would make anyone's head spin. If so, that's not a scandal. That's maturity wearing sunglasses and ordering room service. Still, the gossip engines love a twist. They love to outline surprise names in dotted lines and invite you to color them in. So far, the dots refuse to connect. No hand in a reflection. No second glass with lipstick near his elbow. No slipped tag from a stray friend. Just the clock, the skyline, and the hum of a city that specializes in secret plans. If there's a reveal coming, it will arrive the way all the good ones do, not when we demand it, but when they decide it belongs to the story. So here we are, waiting for one photo that could tilt the whole narrative. A ravenous feed likes that kind of suspense. But beyond the screen, two people are simply living a night, maybe with the same uncertainties we take into our own midnights. Are we who we were last year, or are we becoming something else? Can love adjust to the speed of our dreams? Do we slow down for each other, or do we find out if we can keep pace? What's certain is this: the image that launched 1,000 comments didn't arrive by accident. It was too clean, too distilled. It meant to say nothing and ended up saying plenty. If the next upload is a solo breakfast with pale winter light, the quiet narrative gains momentum. If it's a surprise angle that reintroduces the warmth we're used to seeing between them, the pendulum swings back. Until then, we hold on to the facts we can't bend. Barış is in Dubai. Yağmur isn't there. The rest is inference and feeling, the two tools the gossip world always reaches for when truth decides to keep its coat on. Tell me what you think in the comments. Is this distance a brief interlude, or the start of separate paths? Does a silent story mean more than a long caption could? Who, if anyone, is sharing that shimmering view with him tonight? Drop your thoughts, because in our next video we'll gather the most asked questions and dig into the timelines with fresh eyes. Make sure you're subscribed to Turkish series stars and turn on notifications, because this isn't over. The first post of the year could rewrite everything. Until then, we wait with the lights low, listening to the quiet that sometimes speaks louder than any declaration, wondering which way this love story turns when the city sleeps and the air finally holds still.